Hello, my name is Alberto Garcia, and I'm the Academic Skills Librarian for Wolfson College. Welcome to our session today on Beyond Google Literature Searches. After this session and watching the spotlight videos in this LibGuide, you will feel comfortable planning a keyword search, conducting a keyword search on a range of databases, limiting your results, evaluating your results, browsing for documents using citations and references, and setting up alerts to keep up to date with new research. Before we get started, I wanted to say a quick word about searching anxiety and how easy it is to feel anxious when we start looking for information and thinking about creating a search strategy. And part of the reason that we feel this type of anxiety is because we can often feel overwhelmed by so many options. There's also the issue of not knowing where to start or unsure what options are available to us. And you can also feel anxiety about knowing how to best construct a search. The important thing to note is that none of us are born knowing any of this. It's something that's learned, and that's what we're going to cover here today. So looking first at developing a search strategy. A search strategy is a plan of how you'll undertake your search, what terms you'll use, and how you'll combine them in order to find the most relevant information on your topic. Dedicating time to planning your research will help you find more relevant results more quickly and make it easier to refine your search as you go along. So as you can see on the slide here, there are two stages in developing your search strategy. The first is to identify your search terms, which means thinking about the key terms in your research question or the writing prompt in order to conduct a search. The second step involves combining your search terms in order to get the best results for your search. So looking first at identifying your search terms, when you receive your writing prompt or you've decided on a research topic, one of the first things you'll want to do is break it down into terms that will give you the best results for your search. You do this by identifying the key terms in your question. So for example, if we have the following question, how much does deforestation contribute to fires in the Amazon? What might be some of the key terms in a question like this? Here you can pause the video to get some practice identifying some of the key terms before hitting play again if you'd like to see what they are. So here we are, yes. How did you do? We can see in the question here, we have the terms deforestation, we have fires, and Amazon. So if we were conducting a search, this would be a good place to kind of start looking for in the catalog. So after you've identified the key terms in your question, the next step that you'll want to do is think of some alternative terms or phrases you could use to search for. This is because many authors may use different terms to refer to the topic you're searching for. Thinking about alternative terms or synonyms for your search terms can help you get more well-rounded search results. So here on the slide, you can see some suggestions that might be helpful in generating alternative terms. You can use technical language, different spellings or abbreviations. And if you need help thinking about alternative terms, you might look at an online encyclopedia or thesaurus. You could also do a search on Google Scholar, and one of the great things about Google Scholar is that it will provide you with related search terms and related searches for you. So when you're using also academic databases, many of the databases such as Scopus will suggest keywords you may not have thought of for alternative terms. So now that we've thought about identifying terms and alternative terms, I want to move on to the second stage of creating a good search strategy, which is thinking of ways to combine these terms to get an effective search. So one way to combine your terms is to use Boolean operators. Now, Boolean operators are really interesting because they allow you to widen or narrow your search depending on the operator that you use to combine your terms. So for example, the operator OR allows you to combine alternative terms with the same type of concept by typing OR in capital letters between each terms. So this will search for results that contain any of these alternative terms. This is a good way to widen your search and and will get you some really interesting results. The operator AND, for example, combines different concepts, keywords, or phrases. This may help your search to become more specific and will generally reduce the number of results you get in your search, but will increase the relevance of the results themselves. So looking at a more practical example, let's return back to our earlier question. How much does deforestation contribute to fires in the Amazon? So starting with the term deforestation, you can see I came up with a few alternative terms, such as logging, forest degradation, and clear cutting. Now, if I was to conduct a search in a database, I could combine a couple of these terms like I have in my example search by using the Boolean operator OR, and remembering that this will give me results that contain any of these terms in them. Then to make a more focused search, I could combine other keywords in the question by using the operator AND, so as I've done right here. So now, while using Boolean operators will really help you get some good results for your search, there are a couple of other tips that you can use that might be helpful. And so the first is what we call phrase searching, and this is when you use quotation marks around certain words. And when you put that into a search bar, it will only bring back results in which, for example, the quotation marks are around. So as you can see here, I put them around clear cutting. So anything I would get back would be specifically bring back clear cutting together. There's also something called proximity searching. And so I've given the example in here, such as sustainable, capital W, /3, and then tourism. And I would get results in which basically sustainable and tourism are within 3 words of each other, as I've done in the example here. There's also truncation, which is a really wonderful little tip here. You can put an asterisk at the end of a word and it will find variants for that root word. So for example, if I search deforest asterisk, it would bring back articles using deforesting or deforestation. So now that you've kind of got a couple of tips and we've gone through some of the steps to create an effective search strategy, one of the things you'll want to think about is how do you keep track of your results? And on our LibGuide here, we have a search grid, and I'll show you an example here. This is a blank search grid here, and you can see how I've set it up. You have a space at the top to give a question. You have spaces to put in your keywords. And you can see moving horizontally, you have the or alternatives, and moving vertically, you have the and Boolean operator. So how does that look like in practice? We can kind of go back to our question, how does deforestation contribute to fires in the Amazon? And you can see how I've kind of set it up here. So I've put on the first line deforestation, alternative terms, clear cutting, another term, logging, and then I've gone vertically, fires and Amazons. So you can see I've put a little bit of a reminder here, finding results containing any of the search terms and widens the search, and finding results containing all of the search terms and narrowing the search. So if I was going to do a type of search string in a search bar, it might look at like something here at the bottom, deforestation or clear cutting or logging, and fires and Amazon. So as you begin searching for your research sources, you'll find that the search process is a bit iterative in itself, and you may need to refine your approach the further along you get into it. So here are some helpful tips that can help make searching a bit easier. And the first one would be set the scope of your specific search. Are you looking for books or articles that have appeared in the last decade? Or are you looking for material, for example, that's appeared in the last 2 years? Many databases and catalogs will allow you to set the range of your dates when you conduct a search. So that's a nice way to kind of really become more specific on your search. Also, if you're having difficulties finding results for your research question, it may be helpful to kind of come back to it and see if you need more clarification on it. Is it too specific that it's becoming a bit too difficult to find any type of relevant material on it? Or is it perhaps a little bit too broad that you're finding a lot of material but finding it hard to get any relevant sources for your argument? And last but not least, consider factors such as output format of the resources. Are you looking for ebooks or electronic journal articles? Or are you looking for more physical resources such as books or archival material? How do you plan to keep track of your resources and information once you get them? Will you be using a reference management software? And I'll say a little bit more about this in a later slide. So as you search, you'll also want to think about the types of resources that you'll be looking for. So we have here books versus journal articles and theses. Are you looking for information in subscription services or open access? Are you interested in full text sources, or are you more interested at a certain point in your search in just getting citations? When you're looking for information, are you looking for things that are very subject specific in your discipline? Or are you casting your net a bit wider and looking to other disciplines to get information? And last but not least, of course, are you concerned about primary sources, or are you okay getting secondary sources? And you can see here I put in the slide a link to our wonderful databases where you can get a wide variety of information from different sources as well. So another thing you'll have to consider when you are doing your search is how do you evaluate your results? So as I said before, searching is an iterative process. You have to refine, repeat. There's not a simple way around it. But before you start really digging deep into your sources and start reading, there's a couple of things you can check for before you do that. So one of the things you can check for is currency. And you can ask yourself when you're looking for currency, questions such as, when was the information published or posted? Does the time period of the information that it was published matter in relation to your topic? When was the information last revised? And often you can find this in the footer for online resources. If you're reviewing a web source, for example, are the links current or are they broken? Next issue you might want to look at is the issue of authority. Can you tell who wrote it? If the author is not identified, who's the sponsor, publisher, or organization behind the information? Are the author's credentials or organizational affiliations listed? Is contact information available? What's their specialism? Is the source reputable? And has it been through a peer review process? You can also look at the relevance of the source. What is the depth of its coverage? Is the information provided central to your topic, or does the source obliquely refer to your topic? Is the information unique in any sense? Who's the intended audience? Is it too simple or advanced for what you're needing? Is there better information available in another source? Also think about the purpose of the information. What is it trying to do? Is it trying to inform, sell, or entertain? Can you determine possible bias in the source? And if you can, are they clearly stated, or do they become apparent through a close reading of the information? Does the point of view appear objective? Does the site provide information, or is it a critical evaluation of another information? And last but not least, you want to look at the accuracy of the source. Where does the information presented come from? Are the sources listed? What evidence do they use? Have they undertaken original research? Can this be replicated? Can you verify the information in other sources from your own knowledge? Does the language or tone seem free of bias or ideologically based arguments? Another helpful practice when searching for resources is called chain searching. In chain searching, you can look backwards by using the bibliography of the source that you're looking at to see who the author has cited in order to write their work. You can then search forward by looking at the cited by feature on Google Scholar or databases to see how other writers have used the resource since its publication. More on this will be covered in the depth on the Spotlight videos in this LibGuide. So one of the last things you'll want to think about is, once you've got your information, your sources and information from your search strategy, how are you going to manage these results? And one wonderful way is basically to use reference management software such as Zotero and Mendeley. And in another section of our LibGuide, we have videos demonstrating how to download and use Zotero and Mendeley, which might be well worth taking a look at. So now that we've gone through how to create an effective search strategy and some helpful tips to consider while searching, I would advise to have a look at some of the other videos on this section of the LibGuide, which cover how to search and create alerts on Google Scholar and some of the databases that are available to you through the University of Cambridge. For your convenience, I've listed it here as Introduction to Databases, Spotlight on Google Scholar, Spotlight on Scopus, Spotlight on Web of Science, and Spotlight on JSTOR. So thank you for watching our Going Beyond Google Literature Searches video. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can schedule a one-to-one academic skill session or join us for our WolfWorks session on literature searching and reference management. Until next time.